Have you ever been working in Python and you've got this just massive list, but you only really need a small piece of it? Well, there's a super clean, super elegant way to handle that, and it's called list slicing. So let's break down how this awesome feature can make your code way more efficient. I mean, just picture it. You've got a list with maybe thousands of items. But for what you're doing right now, you just need, say, items 50 through 75. How do you grab just that part without a big headache? Sure, you could write a clunky loop to go through everything and pick out what you need, but honestly, that's kind of a pain. Python has a much more elegant solution built right into the language. And that solution, my friend, is the list slice. This is your key to effortlessly grabbing exactly the portion of the list that you need. So, what even is a slice? Well, you can just think of it as a sublist. You basically tell Python where to start and where to end, and it just carves out that piece for you. It's that simple. And the syntax for this, it's incredibly clean. You use the same square brackets you'd use to get a single item, but this time you put a colon in between a start and an end number.
Okay, listen up, because here is the one rule you absolutely have to remember about slicing. The starting number, that item is included, but the ending number, that item is not included. Python grabs everything up to that end index. This trips up so many people when they're starting out, so really lock this one in your brain.
All right, enough theory. It makes way more sense when you see it. Let's get our hands dirty with a real example.
So we're going to work with this simple list of players. And don't forget, Python always starts counting from 0. So Ali is at index 0, Babar is at 1, Rizwan is at 2, and so on.
Okay, so let's say we want just the first 3 players on the list. We're going to write our slice to start at index 0 and end at index 3. Let's see what that gives us. Now, why 0, 3? Well, remember our rule. It grabs the player at index 0, that's Ali. It grabs index 1, Babar, and it grabs index 2, Rizwan. When it gets to index 3, it stops. The end is exclusive. And boom, there you have it. A brand new list with just those first 3 players. Super simple, super effective. Okay, so that's perfect for grabbing a chunk from the beginning. But what if you want to start somewhere in the middle and just get everything all the way to the end of the list? Python actually has this really neat shortcut for that. If you just leave the end index blank after the colon, Python just knows you mean go all the way to the end. So here, we start at index 2 and just ploop, leave it at that. And look at that, the result is exactly what we wanted. We get a new list that starts with the player at index 2, which is Rizwan, and it just keeps going right to the very last player. Now, just making slices is pretty cool, but this is where it gets really powerful, when you start combining them with other Python features. Let's see what happens when we use a slice inside a for loop. So instead of looping through our entire list of players, let's say we only want to do something with the first 3. We can actually tell our for loop to run on the slice instead of the whole list. You can see the code looks almost exactly the same as a normal for loop. The only difference is, instead of just players, we're using our slice, players/3. And hey, notice I left the start index blank here too. If you do that, Python just assumes you mean to start right at the beginning at index 0. And yup, the output is perfect. The loop ran, but it only ran for the items in our slice, printing out just those first 3 names. So we've seen how to do all this, which is great, but let's just take a quick step back and understand why this is such a valuable tool to have in your programming toolkit. So what's the big takeaway here? Well, it all comes down to precision. Slicing lets you work with just the data you need when you need it. This makes your code more flexible and honestly, way easier for you and other people to read. You're clearly stating, hey, I only care about this specific part of the list. All right, so we've sliced from the beginning of the list and we've sliced to the end. Now I've got a little challenge for you. How would you slice out just the items in the middle? Say, just Babar and Rizwan. Think about the syntax we just covered and give it a shot.